Hello and welcome to another exciting segment of CincyRIMS Roll Call. I'm Adam Visnick, your host, and today we're diving deep into the dynamic world of risk and insurance management. Every episode, we have the unique privilege of introducing you to the brilliant minds that shape our community, sharing insights and expertise that keep us at the forefront of innovation and excellence. Today, we are thrilled to have a distinguished guest, a pivotal figure who has been instrumental in steering the course of risk management, not just in our community, but across the industry. Stay tuned as we unravel the journey, the challenges, and the victories that she's encountered. And without further ado, please join me in welcoming Lindsay Cavagnaro. Hi, Lindsay. Welcome on.
Hi. Thank you. I'm very honored.
Well, we're glad to have you and appreciate you coming on. Let's dive in and tell us a little bit about how you got started in your career.
Sounds good. My previous boss used to say, no one plans to come into risk management. You kind of land in risk management. But I think that is changing a lot. It was true for my case. So I started in claims. So my mother actually worked for a TPA, and while I was attending college part-time, I was like, I need a grown-up job too. So I called her and said, I'm ready to be a grown-up. I'm done waitressing. Can you tell me what you have available? And so I started as an admin on the claims team for a TPA. And then I got into the world of workers' comp, and then actually went to work for one of my clients for the TPA when they needed a claims expert. So, and then that opened up the rest of the risk management world to me.
That's pretty cool. I like that there was a transition from knowledge about workers' comp claims into the position right after that. So you had a deep knowledge, not just of the claims process, but also of the company itself, I'm imagining. And it seemed like an easy transition to move over there. With that said, how did you personally transition from the workers' comp claims to then risk management specifically?
Yeah, I definitely thought it would be an easy transition. It was a little more complicated than I knew coming into it. So, like I said, they hired me for my claims knowledge. They did not have anyone handling claims for the company at the time, and workers' comp was their largest line. So when I started, they said about 50% of your time will be on claims, and the other 50% will teach you some of the administrative work for the rest of the risk management lines. And so just got my feet wet with kind of doing exposure gathering and certificates of insurance and that kind of thing starting off. And then my hiring manager wound up leaving the company, and the manager that came on to take his place, she just really took me under her wing and became my mentor. And there was no table that I didn't have a seat at with her next to her, and my knowledge just boomed. I mean, I really learned about risk management just following behind her. She had no, possessiveness, no fear. She opened all the doors for me and also helped me really build relationships. I tell my current manager now that risk management is a business a lot about relationships, right? It's building trust. It's building understanding of the company you work for and understanding, your thought process with the insurers. And she really taught me that path.
Lindsay, that's great. And first off, I love that you're mentioning the mentors and the positions that helped you grow. And we're a community here. Are you interested in sharing briefly who those people are by name or even the companies involved? That way we can kind of wrap our heads around the space here. Yeah, please
Absolutely. So as a Cincinnatian, you might know the name Shakely, right? Shakely is the TPA I started with. And I have to give mention to my manager there, Shelly Hensley. She absolutely taught me everything I could learn about claims. And she, taught me about rating and just how to, look at the kind of financial world of, claims. She set that basis. And then my hiring manager at Hillenbrand, when Hillenbrand stole me over, was Dan Clark. And Dan Clark was great. He definitely opened the world of risk management to me. And then Sherry Rowley is the one who, really carried me into the room and gave me a seat at every table. And I tell her I stand on her shoulders. Everything I do is literally because I stand on her shoulders, from the opportunities she gave me.
No, that's wonderful stuff. I love to hear it. And we are a community, and Cincinnati is a small town, big city, however you want to frame it. So one person, them all. And I personally know the people you're talking about, or at least have met them on a few occasions. So again, another example of Cincinnati being a small town. With those pieces, with the way you've grown in your world and where you are today, in layman's terms, for a person not familiar with the industry, maybe want to wrap their head around this, how would you describe risk management, or what a risk manager does on a daily basis?
This is a question I love because the company I work for now, I actually left Hillenbrand a little over a year ago, and I work for LSC Communications. And we completed an acquisition on October 2nd for Herf Jones, right? The rings and graduation folks. And when I sat in a room with the CFO there, and he's kind of like, what are you going to do for me? Thing is, I said, I'm going to protect your bottom line. And that's really what I look at. I said, I want you to think of me when something goes wrong and you think, oh, shoot, not the word I used. I want you to think, one of your first calls, everyone thinks call legal, whatever, but I want you to think of calling me. I want you to think that Lindsay's going to be someone who can help you. And I can. So as I'm describing to him, kind of what I can do, he's like, I think I need you. He was like, because we had a hit to our bottom line, and, goes on to describe a very clear claim to me. I was like, absolutely, I can help you with that. And so immediately I texted my CFO. I said, well, I just made, just added $1 million to Herf's bottom line. And he was like,
Nice.
what? How? So it was just through that conversation. They didn't know they had a claim, and, they had protection to their bottom line there. So that's what I always start with. We're the bottom line protectors and the people you want to have when something goes wrong.
Bottom line protectors. That's the first time I've heard it described that way. But when you point out that story about how to avoid the negative, the downside, really, that's kind of summing up what a risk manager does: avoiding the negatives, the worst case scenarios, or at least keeping an eye to it.
Yeah.
And then as a result, you're saving money. You're saving, as you mentioned, the bottom line. So that's awesome to hear, and valuable within your company. I'd love to hear another maybe quick story if you have one, or just illuminate us to how you were able to grow in your career. And it sounds like the people that you were standing on the shoulders of helped, but is there anything else you want to speak to about how you've personally grown your career in risk management?
Yeah, I think I would say one of the things that I don't think risk management gets enough attention for is authenticity, right? So risk managers are like when you talk about insurance and risk managers, you don't always think of the personality types right in there. But I think one of the things that is great about our role is that we are able to really be authentically ourselves, and to bring that authenticity to the workplace and make it valuable. So when you're talking about relationships, right, the best way to build a relationship is to be authentic. When I'm talking about that worst case scenario, what I'm able to do is be authentic about what I can and what I can't do, right? This is what I can protect in your bottom line. This is what I can't protect, right? With property insurance, we can protect, the revenue, we can't protect the reputation, things like that. So being able to kind of be that authentic self, and just be honest about what I can do. What I can do is enough. As long as I'm honest about what I can't do, I think it's really opened up opportunities for me to grow, because people know that they can trust me, they can rely on me, and they can come to me, and they might not always like my answer, but they know my answer is going to be the truth.
Sure.
And so that's what I've done. And so when when Hillenbrand was at a level like, Sherry, I wasn't going to upseat her, right?
Yeah.
But she's getting into a level and I'm at a place where like I'm ready to grow beyond what they can help me with. Um, I was just honest with them. I was honest with what I wanted and what I was going out to look for. I was honest with companies I was interviewing with to say, I love my job. I don't have to leave it. I'm not coming to you because I need work. I'm coming to you because I'm ready to grow. And, and the situation requires that I leave to do so. And so that kind of authenticity and honesty, found me the perfect place. I love my job now. I love Hillenbrand still. I talk to all of the people there as well. I just got off the phone with someone from Shakely. So like, being
Wonderful.
able to keep those relationships and
Mhm.
still grow, I think has been one of the pieces of my career I love the most.
Sure, wonderful. I love that answer. And the truth, the authenticity, being real about what you can and can't do, and being open and honest before tackling tackling an obstacle. And with that said, there's growth. There's been growth in your career. On the opposite end of the spectrum, along with those growth, there's a lot of times many obstacles in the way to getting to where you want to be, or in your job role itself. Can you speak to a time where you had an obstacle or a situation maybe you didn't know, and what you did in order to solve that?
Yeah. This is where I have to give, kind of big shout outs to our brokers, right? Like that relationship is also important.
Mhm.
And there's a couple of folks over at Aon that have certainly helped me. So, and the time that, between uh, bosses, right? Between Dan and Sherry. And then once I was kind of ready to look outside and then Sherry was leaving, but it was, a little too late for me, right? Um, there's been times where there's been situations like there was a situation where we had a policy that is a common policy in Europe, a car year policy, but we hadn't utilized really at Hillenbrand before, or and just being able to rely on our brokers to
Mhm.
kind of walk me through that, give me the information I need to be able to make decisions, make recommendations, and then make me look good. um, that's a piece I really appreciate for our brokers. Stacy, Joy, thank you.
We'll be sure to tag him in this. And I love the shout outs there too, because you mentioned, tapping into your knowledge base. It sounds like the relationships you've built, as well as the people you work with, have helped you grow in your career and overcome those obstacles, just like we mentioned. And so I think for anybody watching, it's important to say, hey, if I have somebody that's an ace in the hole, how can I utilize them to help our situation and manage the problem and avoid the risks or mitigate the risk?
Yeah,
So
and I would say don't think you have to know everything, right? There is going to be a coverage that you haven't heard of. There is going to be a rider on a policy that, makes it unique to that specific policy, no matter how many times you've seen policies like it before. Like there are things that you're not going to know every answer. And I think again, being able to be honest to say, it's not something I've heard of. Let me check on it is important.
yeah.
And I haven't had anybody come to me and say, you don't know what you're talking about because you didn't have every answer at your hand.
No, just another example of being honest and truthful about what you know, what you don't know. And a lot of times is the things that bite us in the butt is the things that we don't even know we needed to know. So
Yeah.
again, going to those experts on top of being an expert that you already are, shows humility. And I think that's part of the thing that you're talking about,
Yeah.
with
That's
all,
well said.
yeah. And with
And I
all
also
that,
think it's, oh,
go ahead.
sorry.
No, go
I
ahead.
think it's important too to, too, like those situations too have taught me that, like, hey, I can also think outside the box, right? Like I can ask for something on a policy that isn't normally there.
Mhm.
Um, I can ask for, a coverage that, we haven't placed before
Mhm.
and those kinds of things. So, looking at what other people have done and not being afraid to replicate that or ask for it yourself too is also something that I've learned.
Okay. Amazing. And now that you're fairly new to LSC.
Mhm.
You mentioned that a few minutes ago. What challenges or things that you face on a daily basis now that you're in a new position, a fairly new position? How would you describe that?
Yeah, this is one I am excited to talk about because it was, when I started at LSC, I always say I started at the best time, right? Anything about the company, they're a spinoff from R.R. Donnelley. They went through a bankruptcy back in 2020. And so at the time, that after they spun off and went through the bankruptcy, like those are the worst of times, right? I start and the company is performing at like, leaps and bounds above where it was. The bankruptcy right-sized things where they needed to be. Money is flowing, things are great. So I always say I feel grateful to the person before me because she went through hell so I could have heaven. um, but so then it was like letting the insurers know, like, look, the company that you're used to, that's financially strapped, that's not doing recommendations, that's looking to save a penny, even, being, what did Sherry always says, penny wise, but pound foolish,
Mhm.
right? This isn't the same company anymore. So those were the conversations I was able to start off with. They had a shared and layered program for property that was, just not very advantageous. Being able to work, re-engage FM Global. FM Global had dropped them, a couple of years ago. So basically selling ourselves to FM Global as this company with a new mindset, new belief system, and an ability to spend money and to put dollars in the right places was one of the biggest wins I've had in my career so far. So I think they'll be okay with me saying this at FM, but they're in Chicago, so we don't have to share it with them. If not, uh, they wrote our business without having gone back out and done all the engineering visits. They built our business basically within like a 5-week program, which is very not FM Global. And the head of the office there actually at our kind of signing celebration party said, we've never done this before, right? We've never, circumvented all of our processes to write a new book of business. And believe me, we did a lot of work in selling ourselves and explaining to them why they should take this leap with us. So they did. We signed with them on June 1st. It's been an amazing relationship already. We had, 22 engineering visits within like 90 days. It was a big deal, but it was also a big deal for FM Global, but it was a big savings for us. And the service that we're receiving from FM Global is heads and tails above. Like everyone's happy, right? To have everybody happy, from finance to the engineers on site to the maintenance folks. The feedback's been amazing. So that was a huge success. And I actually just found out that was part of what earned me a promotion now to senior manager. So
Congratulations.
this is breaking news for
Breaking news
me.
here on the roll call.
Yeah.
Congratulations, Lindsay.
Effective 1/1, I am senior manager.
Oh, wonderful. It's wonderful to hear. And again, you mentioned the growth in career, and it's as a result of tackling these obstacles, adjusting the situation, wearing many hats, being truthful and honest. All those pieces played a factor. It sounds like leading up to where you are today, which is awesome. And another breaking news thing for you was probably that we talked about prior to jumping on the call and hitting record was a new move.
Yes.
I'll let you lead into that, and then we'll lead into the rapid fire portion of our conversation.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Yes. So I did actually finish cleaning out my house in Cincinnati on Monday because I did make a move. This beautiful background is in my new home in Indianapolis. One of the things that COVID did is made my position remote, and I enjoy a remote position. And then when I moved to LSC, it was also remote. So obviously I was still in Cincinnati, but it gave me the ability to, I had been dating my boyfriend now for just shy of 3 years. He is Indianapolis. His position is not remote. So, when it became clear that we were ready to merge lives, I made the decision to make the move, even though Cincinnati is my heart, for sure. Houday. An even bigger piece of my heart is Kobe. So I made the move to Indianapolis now.
Wonderful. And again, another congratulations to that. Your heart's in Cincinnati. We can't change the segment to CincyRIMS rapid fire. We're going to stick with CincyRIMS, but I know that you have some answers for these couple quick questions. One word answers for me. Ready?
Yes.
All right. For CincyRIMS rapid fire, our go-to question: Gold Star or Skyline?
Both. I really like both. I can't.
She's on the fence. She's in the middle. I'd never heard of anybody go both. It's one or the other, but yeah, we'll accept the answer. If you're assuming you're Cincinnati local, even if you're not, what high school did you go to?
I went to Batavia.
Batavia. So technically local, a little bit on the outskirts, but we'll count it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you said Houday earlier, but Reds, Bengals, or FC Cincinnati?
I'll take all three, but Bengals. I'm not
Bengals.
copping out on this one. I was a season ticket holder. It's hard to give up.
As of the recording, they have a 4-game win streak. So hopefully, knock on wood, that doesn't change, and they're playing really well. I would go Houday as well. Good job. Appreciate the answers. Anything else you want to throw out there for CincyRIMS to have knowledge of? Anything you want to throw out there for new professionals in the space? Please fire away.
No, I just want to add that, I think CincyRIMS has something very special, right? I think sometimes people get lost in the Cleveland, Chicago, something, but man, we have really brilliant people in Cincinnati. We have a great community in Cincinnati. There's not a person I can think of that I haven't met who isn't warm, open, willing to teach, willing to, work and help you expand your career. It is a community that I hope no one takes for granted. And if you are newly entering it, I hope you take it to your advantage, because risk management is a beautiful job that you can do a lot of things with. I don't think it gets enough credit for it. And CincyRIMS is a great home to have and grow that career.
Lindsay, well said. A huge sales pitch for CincyRIMS. And for other members that aren't maybe active, or those who want to be involved, this is your opportunity to join. She's the sales pitch and spokesperson right there for you. Even though she went to Indianapolis, she's still loving Cincinnati. So
yeah, and I will still be back. So my CincyRIMS relationship doesn't end with this move.
Yeah, it's in your heart. You can never get out. So Lindsay, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on as our guest on CincyRIMS Roll Call. And again, I'm Adam Visnick. Thanks for allowing me to be your host. Catch you next time.
Thank you.